Hi.
What's up, girl?
You know. you know.
Late night, club kitchen.
It's late night.
It is. We made it, though.
We did. I've been really anticipating this episode.
You have been anticipating this episode.
For those who don't know, this is a White Chocolate Podcast. We're here to encourage the people. So welcome to another episode.
It is another episode, so hopefully we can bring some good energy out of.
Yeah,
it's just kind of like one of these days.
We drink water.
We're just having a glass of water.
We're not sponsored by anything, but water.
But we're grateful to be here tonight.
H2O.
Hey everybody. What's going on, Kai?
People can't sound like. Can they hear that when I?
Oh, like I don't know. It's the editing software, so
maybe we'll get that out of there.
Maybe. Well, tonight is a kind of a personal story, and what we want.
It's been a long time since we've told some like personal stories.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, like season 1, season 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a while.
It has been. Well, first off, I gotta say we are.
Oh my goodness.
Matching sweatshirts.
This was unintentional.
It
was what I had cleaned that was next.
It was a little chilly at night, so I was like, I'm gonna put on a sweatshirt, and then I saw you put on your.
I never once saw you put the sweatshirt on. And I was second.
Forewarning, we did buy matching jumpsuits.
Yeah, there's bottoms that go to these, but we're not wearing bottoms.
No, we're just wearing our
normal pants.
So, oh my.
Well, anyway.
So we're recording. Thanks for joining us. Kai, kick us off of what's going to be talked about today.
You don't want to bring up your own topic?
No, because you're going to be more asking me lots of questions, but.
No, yeah. So tonight, some of you know, some of you don't know, Joel Christopher here likes to run.
Likes to run is, I guess... If you do what I did twice,
you're crazy.
You have to be.
You have to like it.
You kind of have to like it, but then you're like.
Anyway, so Joel will be sharing with us what it's like to run 2 marathons. Talk about his running journey with us tonight. So I'm excited to kind of jump in, because you just finished your second marathon, which is wild, and we'll get in that a little bit later here. But
absolutely,
why running? So you've done a number of different sports, team sports.
Yeah.
You've done some individual sports such as tennis.
Yep.
But you would say your favorite is soccer.
Yeah.
And so you went through college. You did like not skateboarding. You rollerblade.
I did rollerblade a lot. I worked out a lot.
Yeah, you did.
I got big. I got like huge.
Yeah, you didn't even fit through doors.
Yeah, my brothers made this joke about my freshman year in college.
JP, man, couldn't even fit through the door.
I just lived in the weight room, and then I had an unlimited meal plan.
6-pack, and just ripped.
I was just a big guy, and I would say to myself, I'm working out for, the lady of my life. No, I would say I'm working out for Jesus. But then I'm like, no,
you did it for the ladies.
Kind of working out for myself and for the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
But I worked out with a former military guy, and we
you were jacked
all the time working out and
getting strong and huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you went through college.
Yep.
Didn't put. I mean, as a young adult, did you just like run here and there? Like, how did it? Where did it start?
Cardio was. I mean, my legs were probably like twigs compared to like my arms.
Oh shoot!
That mantra when you walk into.
So you just did arm day every day?
Oh man, did chest and
bicep,
arms.
tricep.
Let's go. Let's get big. It was just a thing that I always did. All the time. I maybe did some legs. I didn't know how to squat. You could probably squat more than I do.
Yeah, well,
because of your background, but so. Yeah,
which is funny because now you hate that. You hate all that stuff.
Yeah. Now I kind of overdid it back in college, and so like I kind of injured myself, so I can't lift heavy weight, which I shouldn't be lifting heavy weight. I should, just sticking to, maintaining.
Anyway, how did you get into running?
Okay, running. I think I ran my first 5K
Was it with your sister?
The Breast Cancer Association, like downtown Toledo.
Are you sure it was Alzheimer's Association?
It could have been that.
With your mom?
I don't think I ever made it out to one of those. But so I did that. I just remember finishing that 5K. I think I finished it decent. I wasn't like super fast. I'm a bigger guy. And I just remember coming back and they had all this food out for us, like bagels and muffins and bananas and granola bars. I was just like, this is amazing. I just ate and ate.
This is like a side effect of collegeism.
I was like, dude, this is all the food that I like. This is amazing. Like you run this race,
and then you get
to eat all this food that they had for us. I'm like, this is awesome.
Joel, come on. But side effects of being in college. You think like food is just like the way to your heart.
Fast forwarding.
Did you do that with your sister?
I think we did maybe, but we started to participate in the Glass City Marathon, doing a couple 5K. I think we did one 5K, and then we moved on to a half marathon, and then I think we did a couple half marathons here and then. And then I made, probably about 3 years ago, I made the jump, like, let's just do a full marathon.
That's crazy.
And then just this past couple weeks, I completed my second one. But give it a little side note, I think it is an interesting story of what the marathon is, where that term came from. I just want to highlight that.
Oh, you know that?
Yeah. Well, I relearned it.
Oh, what is it?
So I just pulled it up. But I didn't realize it's come from like ancient Greece. But this race, this in terms of like where a marathon, how long they've been doing it, especially in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. It's been around for like 150 years. But there is this runner that it says I can't even pronounce the word, but this runner hears about a victory of their nation or whatever it may be, and he ran from the town of Marathon to Athens to announce a victory. So wow. They won some type of battle, and he runs roughly about 25 miles. He gets there, he makes the news, he announces it, and then he dies because of exhaustion. Oh. And who knows if this person was wearing like armor or, just,
did he drinking
water? He probably didn't drink, and so this has transpired into like people today doing this crazy, less than 1% of the world does this 26.2 mile race. And you got to be a little crazy, I think, to do something like that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that's a little background.
Especially come from this side of the fence.
That's a little background of the marathon and like how it is today. So it's a unique type of race that you got to be, there's a little grit to it.
There's a lot of grit to it.
A lot of grit. And so like, let's just talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, let's dive in. So tell us how you said no last year, and then all of a sudden you said yes to this year. This 2024, 2025 season.
I think part of it was I didn't like how I finished the first time around. Again, for my first time, I mean, it's a big deal. I hated that I walked a little bit. And I hit this, what would they call the wall? I would say around mile 21, 22. Like life was just horrible. Like I was like, did not want to keep moving. Mind you, that time I did that marathon, it was the hottest day I ran out of all my training.
That is very true.
It was like 85 degrees, and humidity was
feeling it too.
Crazy.
In a different way.
And people were like dropping out like flies.
I do remember that.
And, I stepped away from that saying, I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. And
never say never with the Lord.
Yeah. There you go. And I stepped away kind of like, you put all that time, you step away, and I didn't run for a while, ever, like for probably about a year. But they didn't tell me that you kind of dealt with
depression.
There's like this type of depression that you deal with because you spent so much time, so many hours, so much mileage training up to this marathon, and then you cut that out. No one told me about that.
Yeah, it's a hormonal imbalance. So your body's used to producing so many endorphins, and so you go from that to nothing. Your body's very used to producing that.
Yeah.
What do you expect your body to do?
There you go. That was all. So I didn't do much that coming up throughout that past year and then the year after that. But leading up to this next go around, my coworker, man, great guy.
Did it have anything to do with man camp, like coming out of man camp?
I think so. I think it just encouraged me to get back on track, to
take ground,
get motivated. And my coworker, he had an opportunity to do the New York City Marathon. He was
crazy.
Every year that's always sold out. Like you have the hugest waiting list, but he was able to get in there because of some circumstances, which was really cool. And he got to do it with his brother. And he came back just like, dude, JP, come on, man. Like, and he always knew that I did a marathon.
Yep.
And I remember him saying, hey, I will never do another marathon, but then he had an opportunity to do it again.
It's all about the opportunities.
And so he encouraged me and kind of pushed me. And I was like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's all this stuff that went into it, and we'll talk more about that. And so I was like, okay, all right, let's do it. We both signed up.
Was that in October, November?
Yeah. All right, because
this past October, November.
Glass City Marathon is always typically
it's the last weekend in April.
And so we signed up, and I got my training list, and I'm looking forward to doing that with him. Kind of keeping each other accountable.
Yep.
But unfortunately, my buddy kind of got injured.
Was that right before Christmas or right around?
Yeah, and so he was kind of second guessing it, kind of with health reasons with his doctor, and he dropped down to do a half marathon. And so here I am doing just the full marathon by myself.
First time you did it by yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What's it like training in the winter months, cold Ohio?
Yeah.
For a spring race.
Spring race. So I remember doing the first marathon. I would train. I would go to the Y. I would hit the treadmill, but that would just not do well with me in terms of like my knees and everything. And so I would say, okay, I'm gonna go run out in the cold, in the snow.
That's crazy.
And in 10 degrees, 5 degrees sometimes. Mask up, go out.
Tell them what times you'd be running.
So certain times, Saturdays are the big runs that you got to get in each week. Build up endurance, build more stamina. And I probably one time I started running at 3:30 in the morning. So,
it's not the morning, that's through the night running.
Oh, pretty much. And so I'm out and about just running some more.
That's like the time that people are taking like a leak, and Joel's out here running.
Yeah. It's a pretty wild experience. But for some odd reason though, I got this list of all the miles that I have to complete in a week. I would typically have like 3 days off. So I'm running at least 4 days a week. But I'm waking up somehow, probably waking you up in the process. And
phone, keys, wallet. Phone, keys.
I just probably try to just bring one key instead of all my big bulky keys.
Right.
And I'm going and I'm running, and it's just short runs typically through the week. But
what'd you learn about yourself in the journey?
I think for myself, sometimes I felt like I could give up very easily. Like, why am I doing this? Why? Why? I think there's just like this mental hurdle of like, okay, gotta get up. It's like, yeah, I really wanted to give up sometimes, but I just kept going. And I believe like God was there to help me. And just to have that goal at the end of the day really was like helpful. Because I think for me as a person, I think doing some type of race of that, you have this end goal.
Yep.
And you got to shoot for that. And if you don't train,
it's going to be so bad.
It's going to be terrible. Like, there's probably people that could just, run a half marathon without training. They'd be okay. But a marathon, it's something you can't.
You got to be all right.
You can't take it lightly. So it's like, in my head, I had to okay, my alarm alarm get me up, and I probably hit that snooze, and then I'm like, okay, oh shoot, I gotta get going.
Mm-hmm.
But typically, I'm out. I was out, getting out there, barely missed. I probably only missed about 3 or 4 runs throughout it was probably about 16, 18 weeks of training.
It's crazy. I feel like it was longer than that.
Yeah. It was a long process.
November, December, January, February, March. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So walk us through. So a couple weeks leading up, you have your huge long run.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any mental fatigue or?
Yeah, I think the longest run that I did is 20 miles before the actual.
Why is that? Why won't you train for the whole thing? What in life are you ever just going to
because you're just kind of trusting your body, and you don't want to overkill your body.
But it's 26.2 miles.
But you're running 20 miles. So what's 6 more miles?
A lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I mean, I think there's a tactic to that. And I think you don't want to burn yourself out, because when I was done with the marathon, I was toast.
I get that, baby. But like, how many miles did you train all together? Tell the people that.
About 350 miles.
That's crazy. I'm not even putting that on my car. It's going on your legs.
It's going on my legs. And yeah, so yeah, I trained all that. And what was crazy is, you hit that 20 and I felt like, okay, yes, I did it. It was like a big accomplishment.
Very big.
And then it tampers down.
Yeah.
Like you
let your body rest.
The next big run is about 16. And the next one is 12, and then 10, and then 8, and then 5. And then that's pretty much it up to the marathon. But I just felt, once I did that 20 miler,
like you gave it your all.
I was like, oh gosh, like it was tough to keep going. It was like a tough, like
coming down from that.
Yeah, coming down from that. It was just like, I just wanted to give up. It was like the thing I just wanted to stop. I'm like, why?
And you felt like that was a crescendo for you?
Yeah. I felt that kind of burnout. I was just like, can we get this over with almost?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of some of my training up to the marathon.
Yeah, fast forward. So you're leading up. Do you have any jitters? Are you nervous the week of?
Yeah, I thought.
How was your sleep?
Terrible. I probably drank too much water.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I was going to the bathroom like crazy. I was trying to flush out all my. It was like almost like trying to get my toxins out. Like I was trying to like detox. Like I was drinking gallons of water each day up to the marathon. The week of the marathon, like every day, I was drinking so much water. Probably too much. So yeah, I was definitely nervous.
What are you nervous for if it's just your race?
It's a good question.
Like if you're running just your race at your pace, what are you nervous about?
I think I just wanted to do better. I didn't want to fail myself. I think, something of that type of race, you kind of need to have this mental toughness to keep pushing through. Because, there's kind of like the runner's high, you kind of get in the zone. but you just kind of keep your body moving, which is like this kind of almost out of
body.
Yeah, experience. You're like, how am I like moving right now? Like it's like this weird process. So up to the race, I was just like, okay, I felt so sore still. I was just like stretching all the time. I'm like, it just was a different feeling than my first marathon, but I was looking forward to it. But
do you feel like you trained better the first time around?
I felt like, yes, I trained better. One piece of the puzzle was I actually ran most of my big runs with a mutual friend of ours, my friend. And he would I would run to a meeting point and he would meet up with me and we would run and he would talk and I would talk, and it just really helped motivated me.
We'll talk about that later, what that does.
Oh, absolutely. So this go around, I don't know. I just didn't think to invite that person back. It just didn't dawn on me.
How is the training affecting at that point, leading up, everything else around you?
Good question. Part of Kai, is so gracious to me. And the crazy thing about it, I did all these runs typically before like my kids got up.
Yeah, everyone.
Because I wanted
early morning.
I wanted to respect that fact and not be like put more on Kai or anything like that. But even still, I'm putting I'm waking you up typically to go out and run. I'm tired a lot of times, a little more irritable, and just tired.
Yeah, you're just
And
exhausted.
so you would a lot of times be like, "Can I just have my husband back? Can I?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I know, honey. I'm sorry. We're almost there.
Yeah.
But
it does take a toll on everything else. But so walk us through maybe the night before. What are you thinking? Where's your mind?
Yeah, I was just kind of like, I was overthinking it too because I wanted to like look a certain way, or I wanted to wear this Viking helmet. I was just like thinking way too much about it because why did I think so much about like what people would care or think about what I was wearing? Or
I have no idea. I still don't know to this day.
I don't know. I guess it was just different because this is my.
I mean, you grew out your beard.
Oh yeah, I had my crazy monster beard out and beard, and so I don't know. I think I was just overthinking a lot of things, and versus just going out there, doing my best, and giving God the glory. And yeah, I try to get as much sleep as I could, but there's a lot of nerves in that because I just wanted to do well. I didn't want to like fail myself.
Okay. So the morning of, you're walking up to the start line.
Yeah.
What's going through your brain? You hear the music, the people are walking.
There's a ton of people, just a ton of people. And I was literally trying to like pee as much as I could.
Get it all out.
But that's another part of the story. But I ran into my coworker, and we actually started the race out together, which is cool that we did that.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I actually ran into another person, and his name's Aaron, and he was just super encouraging. He's like, "Man, you got it, JP." And he actually prayed for me.
Oh, nice.
And I really needed that. Just someone else to pray for me. And mind you, I did pray before. Like I was on my knees, like just talking to God, like stretching, and this is like 5 o'clock in the morning. The race starts at 6:30 in the morning, and and the race goes.
Yeah. What's that like?
It was cold. It was
probably about 40, 38, 40.
Oh yeah. Well, I was like, my hands were numb. I felt like my feet were numb. Mind you, I'm just this person that was just wearing my little running shorts and a t-shirt while looking at other people. They have like sweatpants, and you kind of like shed layers. And then it's funny. It's like people just shed their layers, and there's like all this free stuff if you want it.
No one wants that.
No,
literally
they're
no one
probably
wants
just
that.
throwing it away.
Right.
So it's all like on the side of the race course, but it's an exhilarating process because, there's just lots of people and they cheering you on. They don't even know you. And so, yeah, I start the race and, people are just passing me because I'm just at a slower pace than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And like you see the half marathoners pass you. You see the marathoners that are in a team marathon. So you have like 5 people on your team. So they're just passing me because they're fresh legs, but part of me, I just had my shades on. I didn't have any music. I was just trying to be present.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. So in that, you're kind of running this race. It's like, obviously we're going to talk about how a marathon is like the race of life, but you go throughout the race and you speed up with somebody. And then some people do like a walk and then run type of pace. That wasn't me. My goal was not to walk or anything like that. So you would pass the people, and then, moments later, the person would pass you again. Or
you're doing a dance.
So it's, and you come across the same people. And so I'm out there doing my thing, and I'm out there. You felt kind of alone, Yeah, people were cheering you on, but it's kind of lacking a personal touch. But I would say halfway into the race, that changed.
I would hope that it's because you saw us.
Yes.
So a little bit, I guess, from my point of view, it was just like, it's an early morning, trying to get kids up, trying to get them going. Or I guess we're going to pass on breakfast, grab a granola bar and get out the door and try to meet you. But the city is just locked down in such a way that it's like, it's tough to know where you're going to be able to park and you're going to make it in time. Or if you hit these different mile markers quicker than what I thought I anticipated you getting there, like you just wasted all this time because you're trying to park, trying to hurdle your kids and, all the things. So a little bit, yeah. So finally I found a spot that I was like, all right, like, this is it. We camped out for 30 minutes waiting for you.
30 minutes?
No, it's probably like 20 minutes. But we were right between mile marker 12 and 13.
Yeah.
So you're right at the halfway point. But you had shared that you didn't see any of your friends or family up until that point.
I maybe saw like one person, but I didn't. No, it was just like, I didn't know.
So we saw you and you had the nerve to pick up Zion, who's 40-some pounds. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, I felt it was a pretty good,
yes.
It felt so light to me picking him up. I don't know why, but yeah, I was just running with those guys for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I talk about like encouragement. It was like a breath of fresh air.
Someone I know.
So excited, just like a physical touch almost of like high fives and, like you were there by my side front.
I didn't remember. I maybe kid
but the words that you said were just so pure. Like, you're doing great, baby. You're doing great. Like, keep going. And because you're in this kind of zone.
Yeah, you are.
Because your goal is that finish line.
Yeah.
To get there. And I remember even on that long stretch too, my coworker, the one that did the half marathon, because he dropped down to doing a half marathon, his wife actually made me a sign that says, JP, don't shart your pants or whatever. Because I told him one time I had to really go on one of my training runs. Boy. But and he literally had a toilet paper roll and a sign that says, JP, don't shart your pants. I had a chuckle on that. And
that's like, the little things.
So yeah, that just kind of helped me, at midway through the race, and it's about ready to get more serious when I get more miles. And so I got to run into my sister.
We were there at the next.
My brother-in-law and their little kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's,
well, that's when you started to say that things are starting to hurt.
Oh, yeah. Starting to hurt. Starting to feel it, especially just
And I think in the next portion of it, you're starting to hit a little bit of terrain where you're going up and down. And I mean, for the most part, it's flat.
Yes.
But you're running on roads, which isn't good for the joints. And then like,
I did come across this one old buddy of mine, church friend of mine. His name is Dave. He actually works for Dave's Running.
Of course.
It's funny guy, but he lives, I think in Cincinnati, but he was just like super encouraging. He was like, JP, man, what's up, man? He just started running. He was like, you're doing great, I
didn't know that.
And then I ran another guy, Josh, I won't say his last name, but he's like, what's up, JP? And he gave me a pat on the butt. He's like, keep going, big guy. It's just so funny. But just those little moments, and I'm out.
It's kind of rural.
Yes.
Compared to being in the city.
And I'm in the slower of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think for the marathoners, there was about 1,200 marathoners. And I'm like in the 1,000th, how I ended.
Mm-hmm.
So there's very slim pickings of people.
So you're not getting a lot of interaction with those around you because they're...
No, not a lot of runners.
Right.
I mean, there's, very slim. And so it kind of took a turn, really encouraged me because I knew my dad was going to be here.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know when.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And I figure what's remarkable though is my dad would come and participate and watch me with sports, but it was just a different feel because this was nothing that a high school sports, wasn't, it was kind of like,
it wasn't tied to anything.
It wasn't tied to anything. And so
it was your own thing.
Yeah, it was my own thing. And I had my dad, he's always been, a pastor that has worked on Sundays, but where he's at right now with the ministry that he does, he was able to not have to be there. Yeah. And I get to see my dad about mile 16 and 17, and he's on his bike. He's like, oh yeah, I just kept, kept asking the police officers, like, is this all right that I ride my bike, and here he is. He's like, God, I found you, man. And
I found you.
And we're going. He's like, you don't have to talk, Joel, if you don't want to. Let's just keep going.
Wow.
And literally I'm just I looked at some of the videos that you have of me. I look like I'm just like this.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Steady Eddie.
I don't know how you describe me. Just this big guy that's just, awkwardly moving.
No, I think it was just Steady Eddie.
Yep.
I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not I just need to move my body forward.
Just keep moving. That's the thing. And so here's my dad. We're just talking here and there, and he's talking about X, Y, and Z. He's a good.
Was it helpful to talk?
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Did it help take your mind off of the pavement,
the pain, and all
the knees, and
the legs was just
calves.
My word. And then you feel the heat. And I knew, I didn't realize how bad my sunburn was until you probably saw that in the last episode with Shugs.
Just straight across the forehead.
It was just so bad.
It's looking better.
But and then out of nowhere, my buddy Ryan comes.
Wow.
I forget what
was that pleasant surprise.
I was like, what's up, dude? He's like, yeah, and he's in his boots.
Oh, geez.
And he's like, yeah, I just came up early and catch you before church or whatever. And he's just running. My dad's got his bike on, and we're, yeah. And then my other buddy, Doug, comes out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he was with his family.
They were on the podcast last spring.
Ryan and Doug.
Last fall. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. And they were there, and part of it was, Doug and his family, they were there, part of the course. They saw me while
we were there too.
And then they looped.
Your mom was there.
Looped around.
Your mom was at that point too.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're going through one part of the race, and my dad he's right there. He's just right there.
Yeah.
And Ryan's right there, and Doug is right there. So I got my boys, I got my dad, and we get to mile marker probably 22 or 21, and there's just a big entourage of my mom and then my brother-in-law, and it was special. I just kind of get emotional just thinking about it right now, because that stretch when I ran that first marathon, it was terrible. Like it's
long.
It's a long, and I've ran that, so I have a relationship with this trail.
That's where you trained.
That's where I trained, because it was just easy, and I knew where I'm going. And when I ran the first time marathon, that's where I hit this wall, and it was a dark place. And I walked, and I was like, man, it was just terrible. And I hated how I had to walk.
It was also a really hot day, Ben.
Yeah.
But this time around.
Talk
about some redemption.
I had people literally doing it with me.
Which is crazy.
And then my dad is still there riding his bike, and Doug, I think Ryan had to lead, but Doug ran like 4 miles up to like mile 25. He's like, all right, I'll let you finish the rest, man. And my dad's like, yep, I'm gonna let you finish. I'll see you at the finish line. And when I'm still having that encouragement, but my pace got faster.
That's wild.
According to, they have the tracker.
This thing.
It
has a tracker in the back of it.
And yeah, I got faster because part of me was like, I want to finish this thing. I want to be so done, because it's almost about 6 hours of running.
Yeah.
And I finished the race. I almost thought I was going to pull a hamstring, and I still had I was like both my hamstring. I was like, oh boy,
this is not good.
Not good.
Yeah.
And but it was just so encouraging to have people run with me, to have my dad run with me, and I still had some juice to finish strong.
Right.
To, up my pace. Kind of like almost full striding to finish the race.
So you come in the bend. Did you see your mom? I
did see my mom, yeah.
And your mother. I think your mother-in-law too.
Yeah. I saw a sister-in-law and her kids. They have 4 kids. My brother couldn't make it, but they
came.
Printed a picture of my brother,
his
face, and I was like, no way.
That's so funny.
And yeah, I got to the finish line, and let's just say I was spent. But it was just, I don't know what it was about it. I think it just really dawned on me of like the power of people, and to run a race like that, but to not do it alone.
Wow. We're both on the verge of tears, I feel like, just thinking about that.
Yeah, it was I got kind of emotional. I think more just because of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever forget that moment.
No, just to have that rare time like that.
Stop that.
Sorry. All right, now that we have video, everyone can see like
the real.
Yeah, I think that just goes into like the depth of this conversation is like life is this marathon.
It is.
And God is a father that wants to do and be close to you as you endure, this race of life.
Yeah, I mean, I think in your race you have both sides of the coin, and it's like I ran the first half of this by myself, and it wasn't the best in a lot of ways. Like I did so much better with people, and I knew I could finish well because I had my people with me, and I saw them and they saw me, and you know what I mean. And I think that a lot of times we try to run our race by ourselves, and I forget how that quote goes, but if you want to go far, if you want to go, shoot, how's that one go?
If you want to go farther, take people with you.
But yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, just talking about like you're not gonna make it if you're gonna be a lone wolf.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so, I think that, and then on the backside of your race, you were faster, you felt more encouraged, you didn't hit the wall.
Oh yeah, didn't hit the wall.
And it was just a magical moment. And so I think that really does tie into our faith and how we walk things out. And because there is going to be days where you may feel alone, but man, when you invite somebody into where you're at and where you're going, it makes a difference.
Yeah. I think a piece of the puzzle, though, with this type of race that you would, there's this, the finish line is there and what it takes to get there. And I think that's, as people of faith, or maybe you're not sure about faith, like Jesus has given us a race to run.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's to live out his callings and for his kingdom and beautiful, powerful things. And I love just the fact that we have that God is with us, that Emmanuel, the Holy Spirit is living with us. And, but then, just a picture of what I went through was just, how we should kind of view our lives of faith, that Jesus has given us this specific race to do. And then we don't have to, we don't have to second guess it, it takes faith.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah 29:11, like I've given you plans and purposes.
Yeah. And I think too is like, this is not a sprint.
Oh no.
It's not and we all know, I think we all know that as people, like life is not a sprint.
But I feel like that some people that are young in the faith, they like go so hard and are so zealous for the Lord. And I love that. And that's great.
Absolutely.
It is. And it plays a part, but you got to know that you're in this for the long haul.
Yeah. Long, enduring, up and down. But there's that finish line. And Jesus is just like, dude, right there with you.
Yeah. The finish line is seeing him and him saying,
well done.
Well done.
Yeah, and I mean that just
good and faithful servant.
Yeah, 2 Timothy, chapter 4. So it says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I've kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who loved his appearing." So, Paul's talking to Timothy. He's telling Timothy, hey man, like keep going after this good fight of faith, and then Paul is talking about himself, like, I laid it all out. And talk about like a marathon. I mean, example, Paul, like all the ups and downs and his ministry and his conversion and, that's a marathon. And I think it's tempting to think of life as, a sprint, but I think God gives us grace in the marathon. And when we do a sprint, I think we will fall short.
Absolutely. And I think that in the text there, it says it's a fight. And I think sometimes we forget that. And we think once we come to faith that it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
And no, that's when the war starts.
Yeah. And,
that's when I think
it just starts, a lot of the battle starts within here.
Yep.
In here. And what's being fed up here too. And having those people, having God's word being spoken over you loudly and clear, and having someone to do that race with you. Man, there's nothing like it.
Absolutely. Another text that talks about running the race is Hebrews 12. Sorry, my allergies just hit me like a ton of bricks. So therefore, since we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and sin that clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and seated at the right hand of the throne of God.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, but we're looking at Jesus. We're looking to run it well. We're looking to him. And so right before this is chapters 11, which is the faith chapter. So it talks about all the Hall of Fame of the faith. And so in closing, he's saying, therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, like we have these examples that have people that have ran the race well, who've kept the faith, as your text said, and that's worth fighting for. And I think that we know that there's going to be walls that come.
Oh man,
we know that those walls are coming, but we have a God that's with us. We have a body of Christ that's with us. We have examples in Christ that have gone before us. How much more powerful are we? How much more encouraged are we knowing that we're not the first to see this battle? We're not the first to endure it, but God is saying, I'm with you. I've endured the cross.
Yes.
I've made a way so you can have that, all of that, to go against your battle. And so, yeah. Whew.
Are you getting more emotional?
No, my throat.
Oh no, babe. I think what's beautiful about having people in your corner, I think when you're doing something of like running a race, obviously we're just trying to kill this analogy of this marathon, running a race, and of what that means to our faith. But when I am running this race, when I ran it, I am super vulnerable because I'm literally putting my body through. It's
excruciating thing.
It's painful, and then like it's like an ugly part, and I'm just real about it too. But what's encouraging by having my dad and having those people cheer me on, like they didn't care about that.
No,
they didn't, and then they weren't so concerned of like.
They expected you to see you in such a state.
Yeah, like they knew that like this is a long race.
Yeah.
But they didn't care. They were just like, dude, keep going.
We want to see you win.
And
they wanted,
and it wasn't like how maybe we do life with people. We point, we put something on that person because how they're running their race is different than your race. Or, I just can't help think like, sidebars, like when people get married and they put what their experience is on, say, oh man, you're gonna have a terrible terrible first year or something, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. When people that are seasoned in something, they're like, just wait till this, or just,
like, come on, man. Can we? I didn't feel that at all, but it's like they didn't like they were just so encouraging for me to move forward, to take another step, and it didn't matter like what was going on in my heart or my perspective, or maybe I missed a run or my ups and downs, or they were just proud of me, and then they kept me moving forward. And I think that's something we should do as people of faith, or just anybody, seeing, them taking steps towards Jesus. It may look different, because I think
it may be a different pace too.
And it's a different pace. I'm not the top runner, but I want to run that race. I want to do that well.
I think the goal is just to finish, right? You're gonna suffer well, you're gonna go through
Yeah.
things, but at the end of the day, I just wanna finish the race. Some people don't finish the race. Some people tap out, some people get fatigued, some people drop like flies because they're in a vulnerable state. Their body gives out. There's a lot of things that can happen along the race, and so it's just like, I just wanna finish, God. I just wanna finish well. I wanna know I gave it my all, I left it all out there. I was obedient to you and all the things. Like, that's the goal, is just to finish well and see our God
Yeah.
say those words.
Mm. And I think that's what's beautiful about life being a marathon perspective is like, I think there's just this beautiful grace that God is allowing us to have. Like, we don't have to have it all figured out in one day. I don't have to, it was a buildup,
It was.
like did more miles
You
each
gotta
week,
train for it.
and there was space to rest. There was space to kind of recover. But it was a progression. And more of those, the more I ran, more miles got fairly, manageable sort of. But I was able to handle it. So you're building up that endurance. And so I think that just speaks that God is a long-term God.
He plays a long game.
He's a long game. He's a long-term love that, that is there for us. It's not this like
summer love, fleeting.
Yeah, it's sure, it's tried, it's true.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna see you through.
And it's a beautiful thing. And so I don't know where maybe this lands for you tonight. Maybe we're like bored listening to us about talking about my race, but yeah, I hope that it just would motivate people. Not that I, finished the race. That's not the goal here. I think I just wanted to highlight, showcase like how powerful it is to have godly people in your life.
Yep.
To have the Lord, knowing that the Lord is with you, but God uses people. And it's remarkable. And I think, it's just having that picture of my dad riding his bike while I'm going on with this race was just, there's like this, almost like a peace that I had that I could do it.
Yeah. My dad's not gonna let me fail. He's right.
Like I'm not gonna give up now.
No.
Like, no way. Like,
yeah.
Like I'm so pumped. Like I'm kind of like pumped inside. Like I got my dad, talking to me, encouraging me, riding his bike.
Right next to you.
And it was so funny. My dad was like, people would be cheering, like, keep going, keep going. He's like, oh, you guys didn't have to, It's like, I'm doing the easy part. I was just moving, just hearing him say that. But man, know that we have a God that is walking through and moving and is there and present.
Mm-hmm.
And his presence wants to be residing in us and blessing us and strengthening us through the walks of life. And that's a beautiful thing that we have a God that's good like that. So,
with all of that being said,
my
nose is running, and
I think that'd be a good way to end.
Okay.
Until next time.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.